Hello, everybody, and welcome to the webinar. We're very pleased to have our panel here with us today, as well as all the attendees. We've had a large number of people who signed up for this webinar, and we'll get started in a minute. But people should be continuing to join as we roll forward. But let me start by introducing our panel. I have Prabhat Vesh with me, who is my partner with FieldWorker and the person who knows intimately how the product is built and used. I have Ann Murtha from our account management team here as well. I am Rohit Mathur, one of the co-founders of FieldWorker with Prabhat Vesh. But most importantly, we have Bill England from Disability Services and Advocacy here with us on this webinar. Bill England is the founder and CEO of the agency. It is one of the largest support coordination agencies in New Jersey. And Bill has been in this space since 2001, working first as a support broker and intimately familiar with the workings of the Division of Developmental Disabilities in New Jersey in providing services. So once case management and support coordination was privatized in New Jersey, Bill England's agency, DS&A, was one of the first agencies to be licensed under this fee-for-service model. So Bill has a great experience. He has been co-chair in the past of the Support Coordination Alliance and has provided a strong voice in policies and decisions made by DDD and other state agencies in affecting their policies for intellectual and developmental disability people in New Jersey. So Bill has extensive experience in this space, and he runs a very successful agency, has used case management tools, technologies a lot in the past, and we are very, very pleased to have him here with us on this panel. What we would like to do is keep this webinar very interactive. It's an open session. Let's think of it as us having a conversation with you. So if you have any questions throughout the webinar, please feel free to just drop them in the Q&A box or the chat box, and we are happy to take them as we are going through the webinar. And either during or after the webinar, we'll answer those questions. And if we can't get to all the questions, we are happy to address them later as well with you. But anyway, welcome everybody, and let's get this show on the road. We've got some exciting conversations to be had here. So Bill, I'll start with you. Can you give us an overview of case management support coordination very shortly, and its role in supporting intellectual and developmental disabled people in New Jersey, and if there are any unique aspects of case management or support coordination specific to New Jersey?
Sure, Rohit. I think the best way to look at case management today is trying to create a very individualized support plan that reflects who the individual is, and more importantly, the services and the providers that are going to deliver those services that are going to achieve the individual's goals and objectives, all within the context of creating a support document that the providers can use to understand how best to support the individual. So in New Jersey, as in most other states, the planning document highlights their support needs, from mobility to self-care supports to behavioral supports to medical supports. And then we have a corresponding document that sort of talks about the individual, their goals, their aspirations, the activities that they're involved in. And that's sort of a separate support document in New Jersey. We don't have a unified document. We have two documents. The person-centered planning tool sort of provides the information on who this person is, what's important to them, the people that are important to them, how those people support the individual. and the activities that they're involved in, their goals and aspirations, as I said before. And then you have the support plan, which is in the New Jersey Individual Support Plan that highlights the supports that the person needs, and then describes the services and the providers that are going to be delivering those supports, and the setting up the billing mechanisms so that the providers can bill for the supports that they provide. So that's the system. It's very individualized. There are certain services that require division, DDD, New Jersey Division of Developmental Disability approvals that make it unique. And we have a fiscal intermediary that allows non-Medicaid providers to provide services, and they get reimbursed, those providers, such as gyms, karate studios, yoga studios, providers that provide classes in an integrated setting. They can have small class sizes serving people with disabilities, but it has to be in an integrated setting of other activities. So we have cooking classes that may be delivered by a YMCA, and they'll have a small class designated for people with intellectual developmental disabilities, but within the context of an integrated setting. So, and that all requires specialized approvals and reviews and things along that line. So it's very intricate, it's very detailed, and it's very individualized, which is really great. We really have a plethora of options that are available to individuals in New Jersey that we didn't have 10 years ago. So this new system is really quite exciting. From a support coordination standpoint, we're responsible for creating the plans, revising the plans. We have weekly revision opportunities in the state of New Jersey. You can submit a request to have a plan revised. The new service goes into the plan, or the new provider goes into the plan. The individual and guardians sign off. The individual or guardians sign off on the plan, or both. And then the plan gets reviewed by one of our supervisors, and the service goes into effect. And we can do that all within, a couple of week time frame, which is quite nice. But it puts a lot of pressure on us to make sure that we update the plans. We also are responsible for not only creating the plan and renewing the plans on time, but we're responsible for doing the monthly monitoring and creating a report every single month. And this is where some of the support that we've received from FieldWorker is after the initial plan is created, that's our primary billable, is our monitoring tool. And this is where we've used technology to really speed up the process of creating that tool. DDD 10 years ago started out with a Word document that they've been using to upload to their electronic record, to indicate that we have performed the service. And the monitoring tool basically asks questions about how the person is doing from a health standpoint, if any unusual incidents occurred during the month, how the person is, any behavioral issues that have gone on, any concerns that the individual, the guardians have with the provider services, either the delivery of the services, they have issues with the provider, or they are feeling that the services aren't meeting their needs any longer and want to explore different services. And so that tool, as I said before, was previously just a Word document. And then DDD updated the tool in the last year and made it a much more interactive document that required tracking of, requests for maybe medical updates that we have to track, whether, a subsequent appointment occurred with a specialist or not. And they want us to see that we're following up with that. So we really had to track what happened the prior month in the new month and state what's changed without having a technology opportunity with an online document that could capture that information and readily bring it forward into the new document, it would have been very difficult, if not impossible, to do so. So from a case management standpoint, we have a lot of processes that have to get done on a monthly basis, whether it's renewing an existing plan, the annual renewal, making sure that gets done on time and the renewal occurs on time so that providers get, the new planning record is in place so they can bill. And we have to track and make sure that happens, to making sure the monitoring tools are created properly. And we've really worked very hard with FieldWorker to create a platform that updates the monitoring tool with information directly from DDD. We use download to get the information into the online monitoring tool. It pre-fills a lot of the information. And as we work through the questions in the document, depending on the answers, it will pre-fill and indicate what sections of the document need to be completed, really improving the speed and the accuracy with which the planning tool is completed. So one of the things that's so important for us, and I know everybody in the case management world throughout the United States is challenged with, is how can we pay people properly to retain them? And I have always felt when I started the company 10 years ago, I've been working with DDD for 20 years, I wanted a company that was an online case management company. I wanted our coordinators to be able to work out of their home, and I wanted our coordinators to use tools that could give them information to manage their caseloads effectively. And that's been sort of my priority from day one, even before COVID. We had all our employees work out of their home. I work out of my home. I wanted to keep overhead low, and I wanted to maximize the return maximize the pay for my employees. Having adequate pay is a huge challenge in the field. Totally, as you all know, we're all challenged. The providers are extremely challenged with retaining staff. So I didn't have overhead, but I had a lot of technology that I was using to support people. We do use Microsoft Office for our email system, and we have a document library where I house over about 1,000 documents explaining to the coordinators how to do the job. As I said, it's a very intricate, individualized planning job. There's a lot of rules that DDD has implemented to how we create plans, and we have to train staff in order to do so. So having an integrated platform that enables us to do that, having an online, we use Microsoft Teams to communicate and train staff has been immeasurable. On top of that, we use technology to try to make the coordinator's job as efficient as possible. If I can get a coordinator to have a fairly large caseload of maybe 40 to, I even have a few individuals at 50 people caseloads, but I can do it in a way that they aren't overwhelmed and they're working very efficiently. I will introduce technology to help them do that. And I'll try to educate them how to work efficiently so that they're not getting bogged down with the details of trying to get the job done. So we, as I said before, we've integrated, and I also wanted to, early on, when I first started out, I wasn't quite sure how DDD was setting up the system, but since it was a Medicaid-based system, I learned early on that my employees had to be employees. They could not be independent contractors. But I wanted a way where my pay was based on deliverables. So I had to create an initial plan for a consumer, and I could get paid for that initial plan. And then I could get paid for the monthly monitoring that we do going forward. But I wanted a way to encourage my coordinators to get their plans created properly so they get paid, and then to do their monthly monitoring. So I set up a sort of a commission-based system for paperwork. And so having a system like FieldWorker that can track the hours, my support coordinators are hourly paid. I pay them hourly, and then I pay them overtime if they work overtime. But that is matched against a split for the reimbursement. We get paid $300 and some odd dollars, $370 some odd dollars per consumer per month. And of that, I give the coordinator about $154.88 per consumer. And they get the balance, they get paid hourly, but the balance of their pay is the commission that they get when they submit the initial plan to get approved, or they submit a monitoring tool after that to get approved. So this gives them incentive to get their paperwork done because the balance of most of their pay is that way. Having a system like FieldWorker to track the time that my employees spend and then enable me to give them a bonus or a commission bonus. I used to call it a bonus, now I call it a commission because it's sort of a commission. Yeah. It ensures that they can get paid and they know what they're going to get paid. So as they get each additional consumer, I do give salary support in the very beginning. They don't have enough consumers in the very beginning to support themselves. So I give them salary support. Was able to do that because I was able to earn profit for the company. And over time, we serve about 1,400 consumers statewide. So I have some capacity to support people in the beginning, but they quickly develop their cases and learn the business. And then after the salary support usually starts somewhere in the $50,000 to $60,000 range. But after that, of about 35 to 40 consumers, they're making more than that. And then each additional consumer they get paid more money. So there's incentive, and they get paid right away. So there's an incentive to grow their caseload. There's incentive to do their work. And there's an incentive for me to know that if I get paid and they deliver their deliverable, they get paid more money, I get paid, we're all in sync. And that was one of the things that I really wanted to accomplish. So having a time tracking system that FieldWorker provides enables me to create that sort of payroll system for myself and to make sure that I, pay people. In addition, the billing component that FieldWorker provides gives me a chance to bill Medicaid and get reimbursed for the billing portion. So you have a combination of the payroll system integrating with the billing system, all having one platform. And that combines with a tracking system that makes sure that my plans are renewed on time, makes sure that all my monitoring tools get done. We do have approvers that review our monitoring tools to make sure that they're properly completed. Having FieldWorker's online platform available has really made it much less cumbersome for my approvers to approve the MTs. Much of the prior platform was a Word document, people would, forget to, for example, put in the contact date that the person was visited. Well, FieldWorkers forces us to put a contact date in that reflects the month that they're working on. So it checks to make sure people complete the document properly. Before, my MT approvers would have to manually review that stuff. Now they don't really, they scan it. Yeah, they take a look at it, but it's always filled in because FieldWorker requires it to be completed. That's been immeasurable in terms of creating a better quality product than we ever had before. So the idea from a retention standpoint is if I can have people work efficiently, educate them on how to create plans efficiently, have them be able to work with more consumers, they can get paid more money and they can retain and stay in the job. And that's one of the things that I've been very proud about. Plus, they work at home, so they have the ability to integrate their personal life with their work responsibilities. And so we have a lot of individuals that we hire that can be family members of an individual with disability. They could have children themselves. They could be siblings. And so this creates sort of a synergy. So we get people that really understand and care about people with intellectual and developmental disabilities. So what I'm saying is I really look at technology in all aspects. I pushed our Division of Developmental Disabilities to allow us to use DocuSign to fill out and get signatures on our service plans. The state had an online DocuSign that they were offering, but it wasn't real flexible for our internal documents that we needed to sign, our HIPAA agreements and things along that line. And we have a statement of responsibilities and services that we have them sign off on. So they get to know our responsibilities and their responsibilities in the delivery of services. That needed to be signed. So I really wanted the ability to have DocuSign and use DocuSign on all the documents and have an integrated platform, which DDD agreed to do. And so I pushed the state to allow us to do it. They agreed to allow us to do it. And now most of the providers in New Jersey are using some type of signature platform like DocuSign.
That's fantastic, Bill. That is great. So good to hear, the various ways you have, used technology to improve the life for both, your care coordinators as well, your support coordinators, as well as for the agency as well. Actually, what would be also great is that, if you could give us a very brief look at, what do your case managers, your support coordinators do on a day-to-day basis, and how does a technology like FieldWorker help them and improve their life and efficiency?
So probably there's two functions of the job, and I think I sort of went over it. You have to create the initial plans, and that's using really DDD's electronic record that they have, and you have to input the information into the electronic record. That's something that FieldWorker by itself doesn't really do a lot for. So I'm training the individuals and the staff on that. However, 80% of the job, I would say 80%, is the monthly contact that the coordinator has to do with the individual on a monthly basis to get an update on how they're doing and filling out that report that they have to do. Scheduling that meeting, whether we have contacts that are required. Every month you have to contact the person. Every 3 months that contact has to be a visit, and at least once a year that visit has to be with a provider that may be a day activity provider, and once a year there has to be a visit in the individual's home. So tracking that, keeping on top of that is something that FieldWorker helps with. But more importantly, speeding up the process of completing the monitoring tool and know that you're gathering the information and capturing the information correctly has been a tremendous boon, both in terms of reducing the amount of time it takes for my approvers to approve the monitoring tool, but more importantly, the amount of time it takes my coordinators to complete the monitoring tool. Without FieldWorker, with the new monitoring tool that DDD implemented, which requires a lot of tracking of prior information from the prior month, carrying it forward into the new month, checking to make sure that things are completed properly in the different sections, I don't think we would have been able to properly do the work without some type of process similar to what FieldWorker created. And I know every state has different requirements and different features, but one of the things I really feel FieldWorker did a very good job on is figuring out and working with myself and other early acceptors of their concept in creating the document and in creating their online platform that would correctly complete the document. So they really worked very closely with us to adjust the initial go around with their platform and fairly quickly updated it so it was now capturing the information correctly. So I like to tell my friends that weren't early adopters of this that, when they start working with FieldWorker, a few months into it, after we had worked pretty hard to develop it, that they were coming at the right time, that now they can really make it sing. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, if you have unique processes in your state that you're looking for a software provider that's going to work with you to create a integrated case management platform, they are willing to work with you to do that. And so I really feel that that's one of their strengths, is to be able to do something like that. I know every state handles things a little bit differently. We're in the support coordination concept of case management. Other states have support coordination, but I'm sure what they require may be a little bit different. So, but you want to work with a software provider that's going to listen and is going to help you utilize or create an information platform that'll be acceptable by your state agencies, but will also give you the information to know that things are being done on a timely basis.
Great, thank you, Bill. I'll pose the next question to follow-up question to Prabhat. As Bill, you have very in detail talked about support coordination as the case management platform, as case management in New Jersey and in some other states as well. Prabhat, there are FieldWorker has been instrumental in transforming operations for support coordination, right? But the impact goes much further than that as well. Can you share how FieldWorker has supported some other types of organizations? We can talk about guardianship agencies or centers for independent living, or fiduciary services in guardianship, or service provider agencies that we have worked with. How has that worked in your experience?
Yeah, so basically, if you build on what Bill has been saying, that the case management is a very generic functionality that Bill's organization apply for a very targeted group of people which are having the intellectual developmental disability. But the product basically has the basic functionality that has been used by, as you mentioned, that our clients in guardianship industry, where they basically keep track of their ward, take notes periodically, make a report of whatever contact they have made with their wards and or any guardians around that case. We also, as you mentioned, that have been working with a lot of other agencies which require case management. Center for Independent Living still is definitely one. There are other projects which deal with, say, for example, healthy women and healthy child, Healthy Start kind of an organization. Basically, the structure in the FieldWorker product is such that it can deal with recording any interaction, whether it's with someone coming in, whether it's part of the intake, whether it's prior to the intake, trying to do some kind of analysis or some kind of validation that this person is satisfied or meets all the requirement. So all this functionality can be built in. There are forms, just like the monitoring tool that Bill was mentioning, but there may be different forms that are required. There may be different reports. Say, for example, for SIL, we do all PPR reporting. We do all kinds of 704 documentation that is needed. Agencies can capture their narratives. Those narratives can feed in directly to those kind of reports. So Bill mentioned that we are very open in all sense of it. The product is open. The company is open. We worked with all kinds of case management organizations, whether they are dealing with the wards, the guardianship kind of situation, the Center for Independent Living, for example, and the daycare organizations, whether they're serving for IDD patient or any other kind of patients.
Right. Great. Thank you. Thank you so much. So, Bill, coming back to some of the things. So, how does FieldWorker helps you, you said, capture the current and accurate information. Do you feel that that has helped you in delivering better services? What is the impact out in the field? Like, are you delivering better services? Are your support coordinators, case managers saving time? As an agency, are you running more efficiently? Where are the benefits of using a product like FieldWorker, which are evident to you as management, to the support coordinators as employees, and to the families and individuals who are receiving the services?
So I would say there's benefits both to the support coordinators that are delivering the service, because they can create their monitoring tool much faster, because portions of the document are preloaded. We download the information directly from the electronic record of the state. That pre-fills the monitoring tool, the name of the consumer, the DDD number, the month, the date. Some of the stuff is automatically filled in. And depending on how the coordinator fills in certain sections, subsequent sections are either filled in or blanked out so that they don't have to fill it in. Which is nice. It makes sure that the coordinator is creating the form properly. So what would take probably 10 minutes to create a monitoring tool can be done in probably half the time. I would say 5 minutes. So if you have 50 consumers, saving 250 minutes is a lot of time over the course of a month. So that is one benefit. The other benefit is that the document itself is properly created. So from a document that when we get audited, we know that the information is going to be properly filled in, ensures that we're not going to get dinged because we're not completing the form correctly. And so that's an important feature. You don't want to, be caught in an audit with an improperly completed document, because who knows, how that's going to be viewed in terms of potential paybacks and things along that line. So from a managerial standpoint, that's quite important. The other thing that's important is the tracking system from a managerial standpoint that FieldWorker provides. It ensures that we know what percentage of the monitoring tools are done each month by coordinator. So, and also the status of the monitoring tools, whether they've been submitted and have been reviewed, whether they've been asked for corrections or not, and whether they've been approved. So we have a very good understanding of what the status is of our monitoring tools throughout the month to make sure that we get our monitoring tools in and completed. I would say we have 1,400 consumers. I would say maybe over 10 years of doing this, I'd say we have missed maybe on the line of about 20. I think we've only missed one this year. We don't miss our monitoring tools. And the reason we don't miss getting our monitoring tools is the coordinator's pay is tied to getting the monitoring tools in. But more importantly, we track it. And we make sure, utilizing the tools that FieldWorker provides, that we get our monitoring in. We do require that our coordinators get a certain percentage in each week to make sure that we don't overwhelm our monitoring tool approvers at the end of the month. And we manage to that. So that helps ensure that we get and we process everything. So you have the tracking tools are really critical. The renewal tracking tools for the plans are also critical and very helpful to make sure that we get our plans renewed on time. I don't think we've had a missed renewal. In fact, we just had one, our first one in about 3 years, and I was not happy. But it's how we ensure that our providers are going to be paid and that the renewal plan is updated properly with the most current information. And we work very hard at keeping on top and making sure that we get our renewal plans in place. So it's both the saving time for the coordinator in having a tool that they can complete easier and faster with less corrections, and then the whole tracking system that an operation like FieldWorker has for managing is really, I think, what makes the difference.
That's great. That's great. And there's a question here as well from the audience. What feedback have you received from your staff about the FieldWorker platform?
They love it. They absolutely, I don't have any complaints. Everybody, the new people that get it are thrilled. People that we hire from other agencies are like, oh, this makes life so much easier. And it really does. I've convinced my competitors that are friendly with me to take it. And they have joined FieldWorker, and I asked them what they think, and they said, "Oh, we really like it. It's doing everything that we thought it was hoping it would do." So, this has been a very good tool, and I think what I want to let you know, I know every state's unique, and we have a variety of different providers here. Each one of you have requirements that you have to satisfy, and trying to have a system that can make this easier is just so important, and make this whole process easier. So I think trying to have some type of systematized electronic process that makes the process of gathering information, providing the services you provide in an efficient way, and gives managers tools to make sure that it's done well and on a timely basis is really important.
Okay, that's good to hear. And do you feel this is another question that there seems to be a caregiver shortage out there? Do you think applying tools like this helps your employees and helps with employee retention and growth?
I think every electronic tool that you can use is really, well, any tool. I mentioned DocuSign. We were sort of a late user of DocuSign in the state of New Jersey, but I pushed pretty hard to enable us as a company to be able to use DocuSign without using just the state's electronic record for their planning tool to be the only document that could be signed. I wanted a universal tool that incorporated my documents in addition to the DDD's planning document that has to be signed, and the state agreed. So having any tool that helps with saving time managing, saving time delivering the service that you're delivering, that enables people to possibly work at home so they have a better work-life balance, is absolutely critical. Since revenue drives everything, if you can get more revenue per person delivering the service, then you can actually pay people more money and you can have greater retention. So that's why efficiency is so important. You look out in the world today, and I know Elon Musk is talking about, the efficiency that he's used to get people to, out in outer space. And a private company is able to deliver at a much less cost and a more innovative way, utilizing technology, space travel, than was being provided before. So that's the way I sort of approach it too. I want every darn tool I possibly can to maximize the revenue that my people make so that they stay employed. And that means I want to make their job as easy as possible so that if they want to maximize their pay, they can. That's the way I looked at this. And I think it's one of the reasons that we've been somewhat successful here in New Jersey.
That's great. That's great to hear. And I guess what you're saying is that, using FieldWorker, would you say that using FieldWorker has also helped you scale your operations overall?
Oh my God, yes. I mean, so the challenge in New Jersey is the planning requirements. And we have to do, as I said, visits. We have to do telephone contacts. Coordinating that with providers is not easy. Our support coordinators, sometimes have to do a couple of calls trying to get the group homes to agree to a visit time. It can be very, very challenging. So having the ability to, once we get there, getting the information that can complete the tool in a quick way speeds up the process so that they can get the work done. They can serve a bigger caseload, get paid more money, and can stay in the field. And so that's really what I looked at in everything I did. How can I pay people more money? How can I pay them a competitive salary that will retain them in this field? That was what was driving me the entire time. And that's, how I approach it. So FieldWorker has been extremely helpful in reducing the time it takes for us to and create the tool properly. Not only does it do it in a faster time, but what we complete and what we create is done well. And so I have reduced my audit risk. I reduced my payback risk. I am creating a better tool that gives a better information on how the person's doing. And it's done in less time. So the coordinator has more time to provide the better care, maybe do other aspects of the job that have increased. So now they're able to still do the job, even though the requirements of the job have increased. And they have increased. In the last 10 years, it's become much more sophisticated in terms of the plan writing and the requirements of how we create plans has gotten much more intense, much more individualized. And we've had to spend more time with that. Well, if we spend more time with that, and we don't spend less time doing other aspects of the job, then they can't serve the same number of consumers. They're going to get paid less money. So we have to make efficiencies. And one of the efficiencies was FieldWorker.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. We're heading to the top of the hour. I have interspersed some of the questions that were asked to Bill directly. But if there are any other questions that you might have, please put them. We have been answering them as we go along. One of the questions is that for somebody who's an agency owner who is considering adopting technology for case management, is there any specific advice that you could give them, Bill?
I mean, you have to work with a provider that's going to listen and is going to incorporate what you need in order to manage your job well, or the tools that your state is looking for you to produce. So the provider has to hear you, and you have to be clear as to what you're looking for. I was lucky. I was working for 10 years prior to going out on my own with a company. I was doing it individually. So I had my own individual caseload, DDD, had experimented with self-directed services. They had they called it support brokering, which is sort of the precursor to support coordination concept. I had individual clients. So I sort of knew the planning process that DDD was sort of implementing and where they were going with it. And I sort of had in my mind, I wanted people to work out of their home. I did not want them to come to an office. I did not want overhead. And I knew this 10 years ago. So I wanted the employees to work out at home. So I had a good understanding. And I guess that's the most important thing. If you have a conceptual understanding of what you want, and you have a provider that listens effectively, you can create the support platform that you need in order to provide the technology solution to make the job easier for your employees. And that's the way I sort of approached everything.
There's somebody who asked if they can see an example of the tool. We are happy to set up some time with you. We won't have time in this session. We are unfortunately at the almost just a minute left in the webinar. We don't want to impose on anybody's time. We'll set up some time with you to show you the tool as well. there is a comment from somebody saying that it's an amazing tool. We love it. So I guess they're already using it. Thank you for that from somebody. And somebody else has also said that that we like FieldWorker. It's so I guess somebody else is using it as well. So we are very happy to have some of our current clients on the webinar as well, and we are happy to set up time with anybody. If you have any questions, any further questions that we didn't get to, or if Bill can provide any other information for you, please feel free to drop us an email. Unfortunately, we've run out of time. There's so much more. I had so many more questions for Bill. We never got to them, but we are happy to share more details with you offline. My email address, I'm going to drop it right here, as well as Anne's. Please reach out to us. And my email address is just rohit@fieldworker.ai, and Anne's is ann@fieldworker.ai. And if you have any questions for Bill, please send them to us. We are happy to act as intermediaries to get that information back from him. And sorry, Bill, I couldn't get to like so many questions. We'll have to do this again.
We can do it again.
And happy to answer. Thank you, Prabhat. Thank you, Anne, for being here. Anything else, Prabhat or Anne, you would like to add here? Please, we've got 1 minute.
Go ahead, Anne. Okay.
Anne, you're on mute. Prabhat, it's up to you.
No, it's perfectly fine. I just thank everyone. And Anne is wonderful. If anybody wants to get more information, please reach out to Anne, and I'm sure she's going to go out of her way to really help you out, set up a demo or whatever is the need.
Thank you so much, everybody. Great. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.